Let's play a little game. I'll name a tennis player, and you guess where they live. Novak Djokovic. You'd think Serbia, right? Nope. His residence is actually Monte Carlo, Monaco. Daniil Medvedev, Russia? Nope again, Monte Carlo, Monaco. Stefanos Tsitsipas, surely Greece? Nope. Monte Carlo, Monaco. And Jannik Sinner, Italy's rising star. You guessed it, Monte Carlo, Monaco. Apparently, the secret to a killer backhand is a Monaco address. But then, there's one player who didn't follow the trend. Rafael Nadal. Born in Spain, lives in Spain, pays taxes in Spain, where the top rate can reach 54%. Love of his country? Pride? Or maybe just too honest for offshore paperwork? But it does make you wonder, why do so many top players have a residence that isn't where they actually live? Why Monaco, a tiny city-state on the French Riviera, famous for yachts, sunsets, and 0% income tax? Now let's talk numbers. Novak Djokovic made about $8 million in prize money in 2021. Roger Federer made around $90 million that year, mostly off the court. And Rafael Nadal earned roughly $6 million from tournaments. That's a lot of money, the kind most of us couldn't even finish spending. But here's the twist, that's not what they actually take home. Because standing courtside at every tournament is someone they can't beat with a forehand, the taxman. Hello everyone, I'm Momo from the Tax Universe. Ever wondered how professional tennis players on the ATP or WTA tours get taxed? Why do so many of them move to Monaco? Do they pay taxes all over the world, or just where they come from? If you win in 20 countries, do you owe tax in all 20? Why Rafael Nadal would have paid more UK tax than he earned if he played the Queen's Club tournament? And what about Andre Agassi, the superstar who fought the UK tax office, arguing his sponsor money was beyond their reach, only for the court to rule otherwise? In this Tennis Tax series, we'll uncover the surprising world of tennis taxation and answer all those questions. But for today, let's take it easy and start with the basics. The question is simple. How do players on the ATP and WTA tours actually get taxed? Let's take a step back. Before we talk about tennis, let's talk about taxes, the absolute basics. Taxes are simply the share of income we pay to the government, so they can fund things like roads, hospitals, schools, and everything else that keeps a country running. Every country has its own system, but at the heart of it, there's a simple idea. When you make money, someone, somewhere, wants a slice of it. Most of us get taxed where we live. It's called being taxed on a residency basis. If you live in Canada and earn money there, you pay Canadian tax. Easy enough. But here's where it gets interesting. Some income is taxed not where you live, but where you earn it. That's called source-based taxation. Think of it this way. If you set up a lemonade stand in your neighborhood and sell lemonade on your street, you pay taxes to your local government because that's where your stand operates. Now imagine if you packed up that stand every weekend and moved it to a new city. Each city would expect its own share of tax on the lemonade sales made there. And that's exactly what happens with tennis players. Unlike most people, professional players don't work in one country. They travel almost non-stop. Australia in January, France in May, the UK in July, the US in September, and collect prize money in each. So, from a tax perspective, they aren't just athletes, they're tiny global businesses earning income all over the map. Whenever a player wins prize money at a tournament, the host country's tax authority usually takes its cut first, right there at the source. For example, if a player wins $1 million at Wimbledon, the UK government may automatically withhold around 20 to 45% before that money ever leaves the country. The same happens in Australia, France, and the United States. What's left, the net amount, is what the player actually takes home from that event. Each country has its own rate, its own paperwork, and sometimes even its own definition of what counts as income. That's why most players have accountants who specialize in sports taxation, because they might need to file tax returns in half a dozen countries every single year. Now, you might be wondering, if they already pay taxes in all these places, do they have to pay again back home? The answer depends on where they're tax resident. If a player lives in a country like Spain or the United States, their home government taxes them on their worldwide income. But they can usually claim what's called a foreign tax credit, meaning they subtract the taxes they've already paid abroad from what they owe at home, so they're not taxed twice on the same earnings. That's also why so many pros move to Monaco, because Monaco doesn't tax personal income at all. So if you live there and you've already paid tax in the countries where you played, there's nothing left to pay once you get home. Now let's put this into perspective with an example: Rafael Nadal. Let's imagine Nadal plays all 4 Grand Slams in a single season: the Australian Open, Roland Garros in France, Wimbledon in the UK, and the US Open in New York. Suppose his total prize money across those 4 tournaments is about $8 million. Each host country takes its own slice before Nadal even sees the check. The UK might withhold around 30%, France around 30%, the US 30%, and Australia something close to 45%. When you add it all up, that's roughly $2.5 million gone in taxes at the source, about 1/3 of his Grand Slam winnings. Then, back in Spain, Nadal still has to report the full $8 million, because Spain taxes its residents on worldwide income. But he can credit the foreign taxes he's already paid. So if his Spanish rate is 50+%, and he's already paid 30% abroad, he'll only owe the difference, the smaller top-up to reach the Spanish rate. In the end, his actual take-home might be closer to $4.5 to $5 million out of 8, before agent fees, travel, coaching costs, and everything else. So in simple terms, tennis players pay tax where they play, not just where they live. But where they live still matters, because it decides whether they pay again or not at all. And that's why places like Monaco have become the unofficial capital of tennis residences. And that's the basics of how taxes work for professional tennis players. Their financial map stretches across the world, every tournament, every paycheck, every tax bill. Now that you understand the groundwork, let's move on to the next question. Why do so many players call Monaco home? What exactly is a tax haven, and what kind of tax benefits do these places actually offer? Are there others like Monaco around the world? And why are they magnets for global athletes and billionaires alike? We'll dive into all that in the next episode of Tennis and Taxes. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me next time for another interesting tax story.